if it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
No, it's not.
It gets the people going.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Micca, and we're back for another Red Cup Talks because y'all know when we got the Red Cup, we're about to spill some truth. And today I wanted to come on and talk about Bret, Baier, and Kamala. Okay, they had their explosive interview, and I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was very, I would say informative, but he kept trying to push for certain things, but she wasn't answering. But we did get some things out of her. So we're not going to waste any time. Let's hop right into it. Here we go.
Your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years.
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you
now.
just a number? Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Bret, let's just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have an
rough estimate of
system
6 million people have been released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question. I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies. So looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
The first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of
Exactly.
2021. It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the. Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please?
But
you have to let me finish.
You
please.
had the White House and the House and the Senate,
I'm
and they didn't bring up that bill.
Responding to the point you're raising, and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem.
Okay, so that first part there was just, Bret pressing her on if she regretted taking off all of Trump's policies. Because let's be clear, madam, you took off all of Trump's policies, okay? You took them all off. And especially the Remain in Mexico. The Remain in Mexico is so important because once you remain in Mexico, okay, when you try to cross the border, they can go ahead and look you up and see if you are, deleting people, if you're a criminal, everything. And if you're actually seeking asylum, right? We can see where you're coming from. So that policy was actually pretty good. She reversed it. She revoked it. And we already know her record. However, right after this, she got very, very, very defensive and personal because Bret started to bring up all of the things that have gone wrong, especially with the deletion of Americans. Here we go.
Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed. So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe
Bret,
those families an apology?
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about that. There's no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should not have occurred. So that is true. It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together.
So here's the thing. She's lying about all of that. Okay, because a lot of those deletions happened way before she came up with that border bill, whatever, that she thinks we don't know that wasn't for the border, that's for citizenship. So I don't know what she's talking about. It's like, it's crazy. Like, what are you talking about? These people were deleted way before. What are you talking about? And this is what I'm saying. She's supposed to be the president of the United States. Vice may be, but the president of the United States. You don't know nothing. So are we to take you at your word that you're actually the president, or like, what are we doing? Like, you're the vice president. What are you doing? So Bret decided to keep going because she has never been pressed. We don't get any information. So here we are. He's deciding to press her again. And again, she's folding like some cheap napkins. Here we go.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungare's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology is what
I
I'm
will
saying.
tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I'm so sorry for her loss. Sincerely.
That's not saying that you owe them an apology. Yes, you're sending condolences, but do you owe them an apology? He's asking you that. That's the problem. She's not saying anything. Here we go.
But let's talk about what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions. Let's talk about that as well.
But do you want to answer
in all
her?
fairness, I told you, I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
During that time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration even before. Let's all be honest about that. I have no pride in saying that this is a perfect immigration system. I've been clear, I think we all are, that it needs to be fixed.
So here it is. Kamala is saying that the border was secure, that it's a tragedy, that these things should have never happened, but it happened on your watch. And if Donald Trump has to take responsibility for COVID, right? Something that a virus that he really can't foresee. Nobody's ever done, ever dealt with this in modern times, but he has to take all of that. Well, ma'am, this is on your watch. Why don't you have to take responsibility for it? She doesn't want to take responsibility for anything. And it's crazy because this is her policies. And I'm not talking about just the Biden administration. This is what she believes. Let's roll it back.
Democratic Senator Kamala Harris of California, who of course is running for president. Senator, day one, January 20th, 2021, you are in the Oval Office. You are the sitting president. Mm-hmm. What do you do about the situation at the border?
Well, immediately end this inhumane policy that is about separating children from their families and holding children in cages. Frankly, Stephanie, it's a human rights abuse that is being committed by the United States government. But in addition, immediately get to work on passing comprehensive immigration reform with a pathway towards citizenship, but also, and what I announced today, is a plan to take executive action to immediately reinstate protection for DACA recipients and also expand those that would be allowed to actually receive DACA protection, and then give Dreamers a pathway towards citizenship. Also expand protection so that we would actually defer deportation for the parents of DACA recipients as well as siblings and spouses and TPS holders, because what we've seen under this administration really flies in the face of what we know, which is we are a nation of immigrants, and we have got to pull together a comprehensive system for giving people a pathway towards citizenship, instead of having a president of the United States who has vilified immigrants, who has called immigrants from Mexico rapists and murderers, who has a project that is a vanity project to build a $5 billion wall, which is, by the way, never going to get built. So my plan is to get us back on the right course and give a pathway to folks to achieve citizenship.
So you heard it there. Kamala Harris wanted to use executive actions, and that's exactly what she did. She used executive actions, and here it is. Okay. We have those exact policies. Kamala Harris thinks you're dumb. Okay. But luckily for us, everything lives on the internet. Let's get back to Bret.
Madam Vice President, you called Donald Trump.
The significance of that.
You called Donald Trump. He's misguided. You say now
He's
he
unstable.
Is unstable.
He is unstable, Bret.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden.
The face says it all. Do you guys see her face? She hit the. No, he didn't. No, he didn't ask me that. Yes, he asked you that, man. And the reason why he asked that question was because you keep saying on the trail nowadays that Donald Trump is weak, that Donald Trump doesn't know what he's talking about, that he's too old. And for the life of me, like she's like 60, but anywho, he's too old and he needs a cognitive test. Let's see his medical records. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is falling up steps. I mean, literally falling up steps and asking, who's next?
Who am I introducing next? Who's next?
Distinguished guests, the Prime Minister of the Republic of India.
That takes me out every time. The whole crowd. Who's next? Let's get back to Bret.
I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And
but,
Donald Trump
but
is.
You talked about it.
And Donald Trump
after George Clooney said within a few minutes of talking to President Biden at a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump.
So Kamala Harris didn't want to talk about Kamala Harris.
So here it is. So she doesn't want to talk about herself. Again, she doesn't want to talk about Joe Biden. All right. And what are we supposed to talk about? Oh, I forgot. Donald. The problem is he asked you a direct question about Joe Biden and his health. And you said he's not on the ballot. Ma'am, we understand he's not on the ballot, but he's still the president. Why she keeps forgetting that she is the incumbent? Like, ma'am, you are here. You are a sitting vice president, and he is the sitting president. And he's asking people at world UN functions, who's next? And you don't see a problem with that. But somebody that's out on the trail every day, you think he's weak? You think there's something wrong with him? I see the games and American people see the game. Let's go ahead and get to the rest of Bret's interview. Here we go. So I always like to talk about the Trump derangement syndrome, okay? And this interview, she literally snapped, okay? When I said she snapped, Here we go.
This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the president of the United States in the United States of America should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
So turning the page for Kamala Harris is not really turning the page. It's just more of the same, right? She wants to sit here and keep telling us things like we don't already know, like we don't have the internet, and like we can't say you're in office right now. Why didn't you do these things right now? Why didn't you do them? Right? And then she keeps pointing to Donald Trump. Donald Trump only had 4 years. Okay. So the last 4 years have been you. What are you turning the page from? We haven't seen Donald Trump for 4 years. I don't understand. Then she likes to talk about that border bill. Okay. Your own Democrats didn't vote for the bill.
6
And
Democrats
Donald
voted
Trump
against that bill.
learned about that bill and told them to kill it because he preferred to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And in this election, this is rightly a discussion that the American people want to have. And what they want are solutions. And they want a president of the United States who's not playing political games with the issue,
I hear you.
but actually is focused on fixing
6
it.
Democrats voted against that bill. It would have allowed 1.8 million illegal immigrants into the country a year. A lot of conservatives had a problem with it. These are the 6 Democrats. But more importantly, back to the original premise.
Okay, so Bret didn't play with her, as you see. He came prepared. 6 Democrats, major ones at that, Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, they did not want that either. So why are we only blaming Donald Trump? Because it's a good talking point. These people have nothing else to talk about. They don't have a good record. They have people that have been deleted on their record. They have people that don't have nowhere to go. They have given all of our money away to migrants, illegal immigration this, illegal immigration that, taking over cities, taking over apartments. This immigration thing is horrible, and it's been done on her watch. And for her to sit up there and say that Joe Biden is fit and he's not on the ballot, it ought to tell you that there's something wrong here. And it's Kamala, okay? Kamala is a problem. She is a problem.
That's not problems. She's a problem.
She was on vacation.
She was on vacation.
So look, at the end of the day, Kamala can talk all the word salad she wants, but at 20 days out, you'd think she would be more prepared. Bret just exposed what she didn't need to be exposed for the last 20 days of the election. But I could be wrong, so let me know. Like, comment, and subscribe. Get down in the comments and let me know what you thought of Bret's interview. I thought it was phenomenal. All right. Even though it was only 26 minutes long. Right. And even with that, I had to just chop that up because at the end of the day, she spoke about the same things. And I couldn't sit here and just keep talking about the same things. So I was glad that Bret threw some, bits here and there that we could grab, but it's the same thing. It's more of the same, but you may feel different. So drop that in the comments. Let me know your thoughts, good or bad. Let me know what you think of Kamala's last pitch effort on this media blitz that she's going on in the last 20 days. Like, comment, and subscribe. Support, as always, is on Cash App, $officially Micca. That's $officially Micca, spelled M-I-C-C-A. You can always support here in the chat with a super chat, or you can support down in the comments with a super. As always, thank you so much for watching. This was fun because I couldn't just keep it too serious because I was laughing the whole time. But thank you so much for watching, and I'm out.